Hey students, this is your hints video for lesson 8.1 on volume of cylinders. So first we just have several cylinders that you're finding the volume and rounding to the nearest tenth. I picked number 4 because for one thing they give you the diameter instead of the radius, so we have to find the radius, and also it's turned on its side, so the height is horizontal, but it is still perpendicular to the base, so the height in this particular cylinder is 3 meters. So we know our volume formula is pi r squared, the area of the circular base, times the height. So in this case, our volume will be pi times 1.5 squared times 3. Remember as you're solving these that you're using the pi button on your calculator. So I'm going to do 1.5 times 1.5 times the pi button, and then I'm going to multiply that times 3, and to the nearest tenth I get 21.2 cubic meters. Next I have number 12, where we have this cylindrical swimming pool. It has a diameter of 16 feet, a height of 4 feet. We need to figure out how many gallons of water. So first we're going to find the volume in cubic feet. So our volume will be pi r squared times h. So that will be pi. The diameter is 16, the radius is 8, so pi times 8 squared times 4. 8 squared is 64. 64 times 4 is 256. So this is 256 times pi, which is about 804.2. I'm just going to keep that number in my calculator though and multiply by 7.5 to find how many gallons I need. And so if I multiply by 7.5, I get 6,030 to the nearest whole number, 31.8. So that's 6,032 gallons. All right, my next problem wants me to find the missing dimension. It's the height, which is perpendicular to the base. I'm given the diameter, I'm given the volume. So I'll start with my volume formula, pi r squared h. This time I know the volume, and it's in terms of pi, so it's 10,000 pi, 10,000 times pi, equals pi times the radius squared. The diameter is 16. So the diameter is 32, so the radius is 16. So that's 16 squared times h. Now I can simplify here by just dividing both sides of my equation by pi, and that cancels right out. 16 squared is 256. So I'm going to divide both sides by 256. So I have 10,000 divided by 256 is 39.06. It wants me to round to the nearest whole number, so that's about 39 inches. All right, in this next one, we're finding the missing dimension, but this time it's the radius that I'm solving for. So volume equals pi r squared h. And I'm given that the volume is 600,000, and that's equal to pi r squared, and then my height is 76. So I can start by dividing both sides by 76. And I get something like 7,894.7. I'm just going to leave that number in my calculator though. I'm going to write it rounded, but I'm not going to hit clear. I'm just going to leave it just how it is. Then I'm going to take that number and divide by pi. and I get R squared is equal to, it's 2,512.97, so it's about 2,513. I'm going to take the square root of that number. So remember what I'm going to do is I'm going to click second and the x squared button so that I get square root, and then I'm going to hit second and then the little negative sign, so it's the answer is above that. So I'm going to take the square root of that answer, and I get 50.1, so to the nearest whole number, that's 50 centimeters. All right, and then my last one here is this bale of hay problem. So it says a traditional square bale of hay is actually the shape of a rectangular prism. Its dimensions are 2 feet by 2 feet by 4 feet. So the volume of that rectangle is 2 times 2 times 4, or 16 cubic feet. Okay, we want to know how many of those bales contain the same amount as one of these big round cylinder ones. So the volume of that cylinder will of course be pi r squared h. And in this case, my radius is half of 4, which is 2. So that's 2 squared times the height, which is 5. So 4 times 5, that's 20 times pi, which is about 62.8. So if I take that number, I'm going to leave it in my calculator and divide by 16 to see how many of those bales are fit in there, and it says 3.9, so that the nearest whole number, we're looking at 4 of the square bales, is equal to 1 cylinder.